Hello guys, welcome to the channel. This is Baby. In today's video I want to make an updated guide for Celestial Avatar use for Druid in roaming. So keep in mind this is not focused on support, whether in World vs World or in PvE. And keep in mind also that it is different because some skills have different cooldowns, like Seed of Life here have 1 second cooldown and cleanse 1 condition in PvE, while in World vs World it's 4 seconds and it cleanses 2 conditions. And there are two ways differently to think. In support you focus more on healing, but while in self you focus on what result you want to get from Celestial Avatar. So we're going to be talking about the perfect rotation and also different situations and how each time you would need to use it. I'm standing here in the training area in order to have access to Celestial Avatar easily. Keep refilling to the skill every time it goes down, so I don't have to wait. But when we get to the rotation itself, or point by point, I will be showing it in World vs World because of different cooldown and skills. Now, if you're new to Ranger or in Druid at least, this is Celestial Avatar. It's a mechanic that opens to you for Druid, and once you click this button, it will give you those skills. The first one is heal from range. You can cast it anywhere, just the cast time was half second. The second one is the one Arena changed, and it is in PvE in 1 second cooldown and cleanse 1 condition. While in World vs World and PvP it's 4 second cooldown and it cleanses 2 conditions. It applies blind to the enemy and it applies its effect to the area around you, 240, cleanse from everyone, and apply combo light field. It's instant cast but take a preparation time to actually work. So as you see, if we put it like that, it appears this flower and then burst. In older Celestial Avatar, before this skill changed, it used to have a cast time and then you can actually, or you need to wait for it to actually pop up, and it was even longer than this. It took a long time for the effect to happen after even the initial cast time, which made it possible for us to cast it and then cast the third skill inside it. The third skill is Lunar Impact. It costs days and apply a huge heal, and it is a blast finisher. For 5 targets, enemies and allies, it can apply the days, 360, but since it's a blast finisher, if you're blasted in a combo light field, like any blast finisher obviously, will cleanse an extra condition. So we used to cast this one and then this one inside it. Now, since this one is instant but have a preparation time, we need to use the cast time first and then put the other one, and as you see, area cleanse condition. So this is the first change. We used to cast 2 and 3 inside it, now we cast 3 and 2 under it. So you start with 3 and then 2, not 2 and then 3. Let's look at it again. It's like that, and you get area cleansing condition. Now skill 4 is a pulsing healing around you, and it apply a water field. It's a water field. You almost can't do anything inside it unless you use your pet. So if you have a pet that can apply a blast finisher, let's say for example something like the Drake. The Drake skill, the first one, it will start attacking enemy around it. It's a blast finisher, so the Drake near you can apply blast in it for extra healing. A blast finisher in a water field means healing. So there is few things like this you can do. Or if your pet itself can leap, for example, do the skill to knock down, it can heal itself, something like that. But for you it's almost unusable to think of blasting in it. There is not much you can do. And for the builds we are talking about, obviously there is nothing, so that is pointless. However, your allies around you can utilize this skill if they see it clearly to blast in it. A thief can use dagger 2 to jump in it. Another druid can use its staff toward another druid just to get inside their field and heal himself and the other druid more. So it's quite useful, but it's not much usable to yourself, because while you're using it you can move freely, but you're stuck casting it until it ends. And even skill 3, as you can see, is a blast, ends exactly with the end of the casting, so there is no timing, there's not much you can do it. Now the fifth skill is quite strong if you're playing power, and quite useful in general because it allows to pull the stability, 2 stacks of stability at the start. It just gets them 2 stacks and it apply repulsing damage with a huge damage at the end to every enemy around you, and keep pulsing cripple slow, and when it finish, if everyone side 360 radius will be immobilized by an effect called a black hole. So if you remember in my older guide for Celestial Avatar, I used to say cast skill 3 and 2, like do the combo with the older iteration obviously, and start the initial cast with a single hit and then leave. Because it's not worth it to spend all this time inside, you only need the stability and you trigger the hit. Why the first hit for start? So we run this trade that's called Ancient Seed, this one, and if you hit an enemy that is disabled one time every 10 seconds, like an internal cooldown of 10 seconds, you will apply Root to them. It's exactly work as Entangle. So that means if you have two enemies behind each other and you hit the first one, both of them are dazed for example, and you hit the first one, like let's say you hit it with an arrow. The first one will trigger the Ancient Seed, it will happen on them and it will go on cooldown, the second one will not get it. However, you have a window of almost tenths or 0.2 from a second, it's not even a quarter, it's less, it's very small, to hit every target in and all of them will get Ancient Seed. So if you have a hit like this that will hit every enemy around you at the exact same time, everyone disabled will get it. So if you do the combo basically and then use the first tick, only the first tick you needed to trigger Ancient Seed, that will work exactly like Entangle. So you get the 2 stacks of stability and you trigger Ancient Seed on everyone and then start following with your own damage and stuff like that. However, in that early iteration of the build, I did not have the turtle, which means I was running Rock Gazelle, and if we go even older than this, I was running Rock Gazelle and Electric Wyvern, so I had too much CC, so I can keep stabbing the enemy or interrupting them from trying to heal or cleanse or something like that, trying to lock them down. And I don't want to waste my time casting a skill that doesn't do that. Even if I do it with my bit, I can simply apply more damage through my short bow. And if I leave, if I have my glyph equality of cooldown, that means I can still use it to daze him. Besides, the extra condition like cripple and slow did not matter to me this much because I was using Crit Rune, and the last tier of Crit Rune made using Entangle will get an extra stack of bleeding, poison and torment, which means I have more cover condition if possible. And since I didn't have hunker down for my turtle, there was no protection, so casting this skill made me vulnerable. I'm stuck in a place and everyone can still hit me. So I said you can use it if you feel safe, if you're annoying your enemy with the slow, or you can catch people others that wasn't actually immobilized with the initial hit and stuff like that. You can immobilize them with the black hole effect and even slow them if they're trying to revive someone, for example. However, for most situations, I said don't do that. Also, there is an extra reason. We did not have this change to Celestial Avatar yet, which was that we can refill Celestial Avatar automatically. If on an interval of 3 seconds, we can gain more energy. It is 5 in PvE and it is 8 in World vs. World right now. So that doesn't exist at all. We have to heal or power damage the enemy to fill Celestial Avatar, as you see right in here, Celestial Being, with healing being double the amount that you can get from power damage. And we are condition players, so we don't have this much power damage, we count too much on healing. So that means if you spend a lot of time inside Celestial Avatar, like using this skill every time in every rotation, that means Celestial Avatar will be mostly empty and will take a lot of time to refill again, more than it should. It will still would have been close to the initial cooldown of accessing Celestial Avatar itself, which is 10 seconds, but it's still not needed and not that beneficial. So how is the rotation right now, and why it is like that, and what changed to make it like that? So for a start, we removed Crit Rune for Antitoxin. And Antitoxin does not apply extra condition, does not do anything from that. Which means we lost some of the pressure we could apply simply by stabbing Celestial Avatar, because our auto attack even is less damage now than it used to, and we lost extra cover from the elite. And we are now can be very stationary using the turtle, and we also using healing trap, so we can keep cleansing condition, even tanking a little bit against power damage, and we can be very oppressive in a blocking situation. In most fights, not all of them, there are still many classes that can destroy you and you cannot stick to melee in them, but you can at least do that to an extent more than you used to. You need to be running around all the time. Now it's a little bit less. So the perfect rotation right now would actually require you to use a skill 5, because it will apply cripple and will apply slow and eventually immobilize, with a little bit of damage, which means it will give 2 very good conditions, especially slow, to cover your enemy with, like extra. And the slow will be very annoying. It will increase the time they need to cast most of the condition cleanse, for example. Yes, if it's instant skill, nothing will happen, but if it is something like consume condition for necromancer, it will take more time to even use it, which means they will have an extra tick of your damage at least before they actually cleanse the condition. So let's talk about the perfect rotation and when to use it, when not to use it. So if you use skill 2 and 3 combo and then use skill 5, you will find skill 2 is almost off cooldown again. So there is a window to use it again. So I will show you how to use it. You start with skill 3, 2 in it, immediately cast 5 and go to 4, cast 2 again and then leave. It will give you enough time to have 2 ticks of healing from skill 4 to you, everyone around you. And if you're roaming with a group, it will apply a water field. So if anyone, for any reason, even if it is random, applied a blast finisher in it, you will heal everyone extra. So that's a lot of healing at the same time. I found myself a lot of the time actually using skill 1 simply because my fingers do it faster, but I'm shifting to skill 4 right now. So it used to look like that. Skill 5 and skill 2 and 1, just like that. But like I said, 4 is better, even if it take a little bit more to do, like half a second or something, but it is better for this way. So the rotation again is 3, 2 under it, 5, 4 and 2 immediately leave Celestial Avatar. So this skill can go on a queue system. So basically when you press one while the other is still casting, it will finish the casting and go to the other, which very easy to use in order to avoid extra time or making a mistake of simply not going from a skill to the other fast enough to leave Celestial Avatar as fast as possible. So you go with 3, 2 under it and press 5, and before 5 end you can press 4 and then leave. That is the fastest possible. So 5 will always finish before 4 actually start, and 5 will start before 3 finish, and etc. It just works this way. So this rotation is excellent when you're trying to control the fight completely. So basically, if your enemy got locked with your entangle, if you're applying your sharpened stone, if you have your iboga out and you're applying more condition to it, if you heal under it for even more slow, like if you're oppressing the enemy completely and they can't escape you, and the only thing that possible is to actually increase the conditions in. This rotation is excellent if you don't have another CC, or if your enemy triggered a stability or something like that, so you can't stop them from using a skill to save themselves. So if you can't CC them, you probably could have actually left better. Or if you know they have a condition cleanse you can't stop no matter what, then stick to this rotation. So let's give example. What am I talking about? So if you're fighting a necro have a spectral walk. Spectral walk will start cleansing them, and it is a stun break. It applies and the effect on them, even if you see him again, even if you apply more condition, when the interval happen, it will cleanse more conditions. So trying to oppress them with extra condition to be cleansed instead of the ones that damage, stuff like that, and hopefully triggers the last immobilize, the black hole effect, is very beneficial. So knowing a spectral walk is still of cooldown, you know no matter what burst you apply, the necromancer will survive it. So you need to use skill 5 like this perfect rotation in order to oppress them more. However, if for example the necro already used spectral walk, it just ended and you started locking them, your slow effect and all those extra conditions are not as beneficial as actually applying CC. So outside of CC Avatar, if you have Glyph of Equality of cooldown, use it. If you have skill 5 concussion shot, use it, or even apply more condition if possible. However, if not, if both skills are not, maybe you can simply stay inside CC Avatar. At least you cover them with more condition anywhere. It doesn't really matter this much. And I also happen to find it very beneficial since I fight in outnumbers a lot, and it's just like a bubble around you with slow cripple. It make it harder for people, bits or minions, to actually be this efficient, and it's extra mobilized to just lock everything down if possible. So this is mostly the normal rotation I'd use. However, different situations require different adaptation to it in how you use your skills, which Celestial Avatar is obviously part of that. So you need to first to understand everything you have in Celestia Avatar, what every tool under your hand. So Celestia Avatar is a 10-second cooldown, 15-second duration as maximum, and if you play in my build, meaning you will have 3 conditions cleansed from you and everyone around you in a radius of 300 every time you enter Celestia Avatar because of the trait clarity. However, I'm using anti-toxin rune, which means it will cleanse me from an extra condition every time I trigger any cleanse, which means 4 conditions around me. Besides, if your pet near you, that means you can cleanse your pet too. Now, every time you leave Celestial Avatar, you will trigger Celestial Shadows, which means you will you will stealth for 2 seconds and get super speed for 3 seconds to you and everyone around you also, in radius of 300, which means if you call your pet to you and it's right next to you, you can simply stealth them too with Celestial Avatar like that, and people won't know where you go simply from tracking your pet, even for the slightest moment. Or you can stick your bit to the enemy. If it's far or close to them, you can simply kite different direction and your bit will follow later. If you trick the enemy or juke them into thinking you're going to a different direction. So you need to calculate this movement or this choice as fast as possible. Do you want your bit near you while stealthing or not? In case you're trying to simply make a great distance or you're kiting so many people. Other than that, you'll find yourself stealthing and not really caring this much about your bit position if you're in a 1v1 or something like that. Now also, entering Celestial Avatar change your weapon skills, which mean it will trigger any sigil on your weapon. So for us, that means in short bow we have Doom and Geomancy, and for if we are on staff, that means we have Energy and Cleansing. I would go to staff, and that means I will trigger the sigils and then enter Celestial Avatar before the cooldown end. And I would leave Celestial Avatar either too early to trigger the sigil again or after triggering the sigil, which means it's a cleanse after cleanse from staff to Celestial Avatar, or double if you cleanse from the staff itself, like if you were in it and the staff already passed the cooldown of 9 seconds that needed for the sigil, and that means you'll cleanse 4 and extra 3 from the staff, which means another 4, you will be cleansing up to 8. So always pay attention what will happen the moment you enter Celestial Avatar and what will happen when you leave it. That's very crucial. Like for example, stealthing from Celestial Shadows while leaving Celestial Avatar and triggering the cooldown of Geomancy, that means you hit everyone around you, that means you immediately get revealed, you do not stealth. That is a downside of running something like Geomancy, but I still find great success with it, and I've been running it, I don't know, for about 2 years now or something. So that's something to pay attention to. Besides, every stealth that you can run on Druid is already a bit countered by Ancient Seed, so if you're hitting anything with Ancient Seed or Entangle, you will immediately get reveal once it hit the enemy. Let's look at it like that. So I trigger Entangle here, I enter Celestial Avatar, and I leave, and I immediately revealed. I don't get the stealth because of the root itself will reveal me, which is a downside to the root that persists with the game and quite makes sense. It's consistent with the rule of damaging while stealthing. So, like I said, you always need to pay attention to everything happening around you from Celestial Avatar, and every step will happen inside it. Now, what do I mean by different situation and some of the tips I want to share about Celestial Avatar. So for a start, I already shared the one you know very well. Celestial Avatar is the main way right now to trigger Ancient Seed on everyone by triggering skill 3 and then skill 5, because it will hit everyone at the same time, which means everyone get Ancient Seed at the same time. You have a small window to apply damage to a disabled enemy, whether you disable it or someone else, whether you dazed it or someone giving them lunge or they fall in a gravity well from a necromancer or from a chronomancer. If you trigger skill 5, that's a hit that happened to everyone around you at the same time, which means it will trigger this. There is other ways in our build to do that. If you're playing longbow, skill 5 barrage will actually hit everyone at the same time. This one. So if you apply it on yourself like that and you simply use Glyph of Equality, everyone here will already take it. While on short bow we don't have such skill, so we use either Celestial Avatar or Glyph of Equality and go short bow. Like let's say we were in staff, you can simply use Glyph of Equality and move to short bow. It will trigger skill of Geomancy as a sigil, which means it will apply also again. It's a hit happen at the same time to everyone. Or if you're on short bow, you can simply enter Celestial Avatar after Grave of Equality. Also will trigger a weapon change, which means will trigger the sigil. The other way around, you can apply this hit, Lunar Impact, and simply leave. And once you leave, you will trigger the sigil if the cooldown is off. It's just the same thing over and over. In the older build, we used to be able to do that through Glyph of Equalities in Entangle, because Entangle triggered the last tier of Krite Rune, and the last tier counted as a group hit. It was the ones that apply a stack of Poison, Bleed, and Torment, but we don't have this anymore, so we lost one of the most convenient way to trigger a group route. So this opens a door of possibilities. For example, if you're chasing someone very far, if you use your staff to catch to them or something like that, you can simply go to Celestial Avatar, and from very far distance, from 1200, you can simply cast this and catch them with a staff to trigger the route. So that is a very good offensive way to use Celestial Avatar. Also, if you can't stand still, for example, you can't fulfill the entire rotation, then we fall back to the original way in how we use Celestial Avatar. We simply go in, trigger the normal combo, first hit, and leave. Since we're already gonna take a hit, we have to avoid it, we have to dodge or something like that. Skill 5 will root you in place to the maximum count until you finish casting. That's something to very pay attention to. Every other skill you can use it while moving. Skill 5 does not work while moving. It will lock you in place, just like Longbow 5, it lock you in place to the casting. And also a very good way to use it to exact what you want, that I do. When I start casting skill 5, I remove my finger from the walking button, and if I want to cancel it, I simply start walking. I press the button again and it will simply stop the casting. So as you see here, I enter, I press the skill, and the moment I move, it stops casting immediately. Now also that gets us to skill 2, which is probably the most important skill in this. Skill 2 is an instant cast, which means you can cast it even under CC. So let's say you got knocked down and you have a lot of condition on you or something like that. Or someone will apply a huge burst hit you, even from far. Let's say a dead eye will hit you with Death Judgment or something like that, and you got knocked down from it or something like that, and you see this hit's gonna come, you know it's gonna come, and they appeared from stealth, or a Dragon Hunter will hit you with True Shot. You can simply enter Celestial Avatar while knocked down, because it does not have a cast time. You can enter Celestial Avatar even in CC, you can leave Celestial Avatar even under CC, and also you can use a skill 2. So if someone applying a lot of condition to you while you're under control, you can't cleanse it, you don't have other skills, you are really locked, or trying to apply a very powerful power hit. If it's condition, you can simply put it under you and it will cleanse you even while you're knocked down, your face down the ground, and it will still work. If it's a power hit, you can simply put it on them and it will apply blinding, so the hit will miss, and all that without even stun breaking. And if they doing that thing in melee range, even better. You will cleanse and apply the blinding to them. So that's also a trick that can very much save your life. If your enemy doesn't have resistance or anywhere around it, they will miss, you will cleanse. It's just very optimal, something to keep in mind. Now also another trick is actually stability access. So for my current build, I run Shared Anguish, which means I get 1 stack of stability inside combat every time I switch bit. Both me and my bit will take it. However, we have always had a very minor thing to have stability. It has its upsides and downsides, which is skill 5. The moment you start casting skill 5, you will get 2 stacks of stability. As you can see here, and I will use it, immediately 2 stacks. That happens only on the initial cast. It does not happen repeatedly, it does not happen at the last. It's the moment the skill start casting, do the first bolts. Which means sometimes you're kiting and you know a CC coming from far, knock down Longbow Ranger 4 or something like that. You can simply start cast, get stability, and leave immediately. So that's the upside to it. The downside is it is root you to the ground, which mean if you're running from an enemy, the enemy can catch you easier. A lot of condition can be applied, AoE, especially if you're kiting like 4 or 5 people or more. So it can be quite risky to actually trigger it, but it is very beneficial to stop that CC that will end the fight because you don't have a stun break or something like that. So you do like that, you enter, you cast, you leave, and go. I do it very slow so it can be obvious, obviously. But those 2 stacks of stability will not gonna be removed easily. Unless someone timed the corruption or something. They are very short, very small, but it works. And it works if you're lucked. Let's say you fall into a dragon maw from a dragon hunter, or a longbow 5 from a dragon hunter, the baby gates as we call it, or even nature binding from untamed. You can simply enter and trigger, leave, and move. This stability will get you out of those barriers, even fear ring from necromancer. So this trick is very great. Right now you have also another option, simply to switch bit and start walking. It will remove the 1 stack of stability on you and you can simply make it out. But it is up to you. It depends on the situation and how much you need to survive. Because if you simply need to survive a CC, maybe switching bit's better. Especially if you want to use the extra skills that allow you, if you want to CC the enemy, or if you want to get the protection field from the turtle. However, if you want to stealth because you need to change your position, simply switching bit is not enough, or you still need the bit you're on right now, then Celestial Avatar is better. And you can get out, doesn't mean you need to leave Celestial Avatar. You can simply use it, go out and start using other rotations and stuff. Simply you made it out of the CC area, you're no longer being locked and bombarded with damage. So read the situation and adapt accordingly, but those are simply few tricks you can do inside Celestial Avatar. Besides that, you always have the normal things like skill 3 is a blast finisher, so if you're blasted in an active healing trap, it's a water field, or staff skill 5, which means you have this blasting finisher in it, and you can also use skill 3 in it, which also an extra healing for about 1k.5 because of our healing power. But those are normal things, they are not exclusive to Celestial Avatar basically. So that will be it for the video. I hope you liked it and found it informative. Ask any other question if you want in the comments. Don't hesitate to share it to your friends, like, subscribe and all the good stuff, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.